Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. And I thought that I would go live real quick to let you guys know that that today was an interesting day. We've had some interesting economic data that was released, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that real quick, just so you guys know what's happening in the economy. Before I begin, I want to say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time you're watching this video. I want to welcome you to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. If you want to hear daily financial news and commentary from a Black perspective, make sure you subscribe at theblackfinancialchannel.com and follow the Black Financial Channel on Instagram. And hello to everybody on Instagram. I see you guys down there. Type your B1 in the chat if you believe Black people come first. If your community matters to you more than any other community, type B1 in the chat. That's our B1 ritual that we do every time we get together and talk. Today, I want to talk about something I just read. I read the financial news every morning, and the most glaring thing that jumped out today in financial news is that the unemployment filings. Last week we had a historic number of people that applied for unemployment. We made history. We had 3 million people that filed for unemployment at the same time. That is a record. The highest number ever in history up to that point was 1982, which is before many of you were even born, and that number was about 1/5 of the number that we had last week. Let me see, 1982, I think the number is about 680,000, something like that. Last week we had 3 million, almost 5 times greater. Well, guess what? This week they released the new data, the new numbers for this week, and another 6 million people have filed for unemployment. So you went to 3 million, which is a nightmarish scenario, to now 6 million, which takes the total to almost 10 million. I think it was 3.1 million plus 6.6. So you're talking about 9.7 million to 10 million people that now don't have a job because the entire economy has been shut down. Like we're literally living like bro man on the fifth floor. On the fifth floor. Remember bro man on the fifth floor? Remember Tommy that didn't have a job on Martin? Like that's us. That's our whole economy right now. Right now, we literally are a third world country. We are a communist country or socialist. I don't know what it is. I mean, we have no employment. We have no economy right now for the most part to speak of, and so it's interesting, and I laugh about it because I'm sad, and not because I don't care about what's happening. I mean, I think it's terrible, and I told you guys what I think. I think that this is interesting to me because I still don't understand exactly why. I still don't. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not a guy that just takes what media tells me and just says, oh, well, because Trump said it, it must be true. Or because CNN said it, it must be true. I'm not that guy. I'm a guy who says, okay, I need to understand what's happening, and I need to understand why, we're all sitting at home doing nothing, and we're just doing this forever, indefinitely. And I've been researching the heck out of this virus. I've been talking to physicians. I've been talking to doctors in New York City, people on the front lines and everything else to try to get a sense of what's going on. And I still haven't seen it all. I still haven't. In fact, actually, the last doctor I heard from told me that the number of virus or illness related deaths in his state did not go up, that the number is the same as it was last year. And so I still am trying to process this and really understand why the entire economy is completely shut down. So I'm going to say this in terms of the specifics of the data, the jobs that are how many people die from corona compared to the flu. Oh, the numbers aren't even close. I mean, there are probably about 50 times more flu deaths than corona deaths. What they're saying is, yeah, but there's only 1,000 or whatever, or sorry, a few thousand. Wait, let me check. Let me make sure I get this number right. I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to say anything that's incorrect. I like data. I don't care about political spin. I like data. So let's see here. Number of U.S. coronavirus deaths. The number of cases does matter, but 80% of all cases are mild. I want to hear about the number of deaths. Okay, I see New York Times here. What does New York Times have to say about it? They usually block you from reading the articles. Okay. In New York, there's 2,373 people that died in the state. Now that's up from 1941, the previous morning. Let me see here. 10 million jobs are lost. New York Times is mentioning that. That we know is very real. All of it's real. All of it's real. So let's not pretend like death isn't real. Death happens every day. Just so in case you didn't know, in case you thought people just started dying, no, people have always been dying. Like it's always been kind of a thing. But let me see here. I'm looking to see. I don't see an exact number on the number of U.S. deaths. I'm gonna go ahead and guess maybe 4,000 people. Let me see, coronavirus live updates. Here we go. 5,140 deaths. Okay, so that's according to this site called worldometers.info. There's 227,000 cases, 5,344 deaths, 10,265 people have recovered. And yesterday, in terms of new deaths that occurred, New York led the pack. New York had 505 new deaths. Next was New Jersey with 88 new deaths. So the best I can guess, if you're under the assumption, I mean, and I see everything, I read everything, I watch everything, you know, because there are conspiracy theories out there, right? And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I know conspiracies exist, right? So I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I know conspiracies exist. So I don't close my ears when you tell me there's a conspiracy. I just need proof. Just like, you know, when we talk about things like whether it's the Me Too movement or anything else, my response is always like, okay, I need proof. Just give me some proof and we can talk, you know, but if you have no proof, then you're just giving me speculation and that doesn't work so well. So my whole, you know, inclination on this that I'm really trying to figure out is, you know, so let's say that you had 100 million people unemployed. Give me a yes or no in the chat. I'd like for you guys to give me a yes or no on this. Let's say 100 million. Let's say 50 million people. You know, remember the highest number of unemployment filings in a week in U.S. history was 690,000. Let's say 50 million Americans could not get a job because, and let's say that, you know, 20,000 people die from the virus with terrible tragedy, right? 20,000 people die, you know, 17,000, 18,000 of them are over the age of 70, you know, who already, you know, had a lot of illnesses, things like that. Let's say 50 million people did not have a job for 6 months, including yourself, and you had no source of income for 6 months. Do you think that it would be worth it to have the economy continue to shut down, you know, because of this death? Give me a yes or no. Like, do you think it's okay? Like, do you think that we should just never reopen the economy? Like, never have, you know, anybody or most people get jobs? And I say that, I ask that question because, you know, it's almost like I hear people say things like, you know, well, human life matters more than money, right? And I think they say that out of emotion because they're mad at me for even asking that question, right? They're thinking that I'm being a capitalist bastard by bringing that up. And anybody who watches my platform long enough knows that I'm not really a big fan of capitalism in its purest form or in the way it's practiced in the U.S. I think the U.S. needs a little socialism because that's why your country's kind of screwed up now, is because you let capitalism kind of drive the car. Capitalism is not a good model to drive an entire economic and political system. It's just not. But, you know, but I asked that question not to be a bastard, but because, you know, I would almost come back if someone says, well, no, you know, we should stay home indefinitely because human life is more valuable than money. And I say, okay, that's fine. But if you take away money long enough, if you take away income long enough, then your human death toll, your life toll is going to be tremendous. You know, you're going to have, you know, little children, they can't eat, you know, and I'm going to just tell you like this. If you said to me, Boyce, you know, in order for your children to be able to eat, there's gonna have to be, you know, 10,000 people that die, 10,000 people across the country of 330 million, 10,000 people are gonna have to die for your kids to eat. Well, I'll be like, well, my kids gonna eat. I'll just have to wear my mask and social distance, and I'm not shaking nobody's hands when I go out. But I'm going to make sure my children eat because I don't want my children to be added to that death toll, right? And I think that that's where you're gonna get to. You're gonna get to a point where people in the society are gonna say, wait, hold on, enough is enough, man. Like, we need some information. I think CNN does not do a good enough job of giving detailed information when they're releasing the death tolls. I don't like these one-off stories. They'll tell you one story about one guy. Like I saw a story today about a guy, poor guy. You know, they said he died of coronavirus in his husband's arms. and they say, and it was made to be all touching and sad. He was in his husband's arms and he died, and it was terrible. Coronavirus took him out. And I didn't like that story because I felt like it was it had an agenda. I felt like the story had an agenda to it. First of all, it had the LGBT agenda, right? That's everywhere in media. They're always trying to push that on us. But then it had the agenda of playing the violin and pulling your heartstrings. When the fact of the matter is that there's thousands of people that die every day, all the time in America. So media, in my opinion, should back up individual stories with facts, especially now that you need broad-based statistics. This is not a matter of us mourning, like giving up our job to mourn the death of one person out of 330 million. In a country of 330 million people, again, thousands of people are going to just die every day just because. I would prefer that you give us detailed information. I would prefer that you say today, 3,000 people died, 2,500 of them had 2 or more pre-existing conditions. 2,600 of them were over the age of 70. And so what we're suggesting is that in order for the economy to move forward and for us to still preserve human life, we're going to allocate an extra $50 billion to support the hospitals. We're going to put another $50 billion into the pockets of frontline workers who are working in the healthcare system that are helping these people. We're going to put another $50 billion into quarantining the most vulnerable people in our community, most vulnerable people in the population. So that means all senior citizens, we're going to give them a check to stay home. Anybody who lives with a senior citizen, we're going to give you a big check to stay home with your grandma or your grandparents to make sure that they're safe and they're quarantined. Everybody who's young, who has a less than 1% chance of dying if you have coronavirus. Like, think about this. Most people in America have a less than 1% chance of dying, even if you get it. Even if you get it, you have a less than 1% chance of dying. So I would really honestly, and this is why I'll never be elected president of anything, because I think that you have to have an intelligence level that's only so high. I would say anybody that has less than a 1% chance of dying, we need you. We want you. We need you, and we want you to get back to work. We don't just need you to get back to work so the economy can move. We want you to get back to work so your kids can eat. We need you to, every able-bodied American who has less than a 1% chance of dying, assuming that they were infected, we want you to go back to work because we want you to be able to take care of your family. We can't have you sitting at home with your kids starving, because your starving dead kids will only add to the death toll. Those of you who die from suicides, from the frustration of being unemployed, that's going to add to the death toll. All the thousands of opioid overdoses that tend to be correlated with high unemployment, that's going to add to the death toll. So we don't want to add to the death toll. So we're going to add to the life toll. So what we're going to do is we're going to quarantine the senior citizens. We're going to put aside billions of dollars to take care of the healthcare workers, give them hazard pay because they're right on the front lines. We're going to do a bunch of other things to stimulate the economy. But the biggest stimulus that we're going to do, the biggest stimulus package the government could push right now, in my opinion, is to find the people that have the lowest probability of dying from the virus and letting those people go ahead and get the economy moving again. That's just my 2 cents. And that's a good question, Bean Cherry. What about those who are in the 1% but live with people who are elderly or have pre-existing conditions? Then you keep those people home too. I would keep those people home and give them a check, give them $5,000 a month to stay home with their elderly parents or their disabled or not disabled, but people in their family that have pre-existing conditions. And we will make sure that you're good. And those who are working are going to stimulate the economy. So we even have the resources to do this for you. Right. That's the Boyce Watkins plan. If I were president tomorrow, that's the plan I would probably push for. The fact that they're not pushing for a plan like that tells me that there's a chance perhaps that it tells me definitely that there's something variable that we're not aware of. It could be something very sinister. Like I've heard all the conspiracy theories from, this is a social experiment. This is a biological warfare, things like that. All those things I don't know about. Or it could be something a little less sinister. Like maybe the scientists actually know that the infection rate is higher than they've shared before. Maybe they know that the death rate is going to increase. Maybe there's evidence to say that more people are going to eventually die, and the numbers are just going to spiral out of control in an exponential fashion, then in that case, I would say, okay, well, I'd like to know more information. So the only thing I can say with complete certainty is two things. One, we cannot continue down this trajectory. You can't continue to have 3, 5, 10 million people a week, or 3 to 6 million people a week filing unemployment. You're going to have complete mayhem, chaos. You're going to have death all up in the streets. People going to be out here carjacking, killing each other. You're going to have, you got entire blocks where everybody's been sitting at home for 2 weeks and driving each other crazy. You're going to have people fighting and rioting and beating each other's asses. And it's going to be like Do the Right Thing, like the end of the Spike Lee movie. Remember when everybody went crazy and they had the riot on the street? Like, I could just imagine streets like that where people are just like, I'm sick of this and I'm broke and I can't eat. I can't feed my kids. Ain't nothing in the grocery store. This is crazy. So I think so the two things are, one, I don't think we can continue this way for very long. Two, they're not telling us everything. I think those are the two things that I've concluded. And I don't know. I guess we'll just see how it goes. Those of you who are invested in the stock market, you might have made some money today. I think the stock market went up a little bit, but the stock market's been tanking, since all this happened. My recommendation, not my recommendation, what I do with my portfolio is I buy the dips. And so I've just been buying stock. Stocks are very, very cheap right now because everybody's so scared. That's the time when you go in and you get your best deals. When everybody's afraid, that's when millionaires make moves. And that's when they're going to end up in a better position. Because if you really peer inside my brain and force me to be 100% honest with the public about what I'm thinking, stock market is going to go, because people are going to feel like it's safe to come outside again. So all I'm doing right now is I'm positioning myself to benefit when people stop letting fear drive their decisions. Again, capitalism is not a good driver of an economic and political system. Capitalism should not be in the driver's seat of your decisions, meaning money should never be the number one reason you make a decision. But equally important, fear should never be the driving factor in your decisions either. You cannot let money drive all your decisions, and you can't let fear drive all your decisions, because in both cases, you're going to be wrong. That's what I believe, and I'm sticking with that. Because right now at this point, there's nothing about the death toll or the infection toll that scares me. You can't scare me by telling me that a new celebrity got the virus. That does not scare me, because I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, there's a 90% chance that he's going to cough for a couple of days, maybe have a cold, and then he's going to get better. Like literally, that's when Chris Cuomo on CNN is like, oh, I have the coronavirus, and they're doing all these interviews. So what's it like having the coronavirus? Well, I had a fever and I farted a couple of extra times, and my stomach hurt for a while, and whatever, right? And they like that drama. Like, CNN's filled with all these drama queens that like to add in all this drama, and I'm like, I don't need all the drama, man. Give me some facts. People out here trying to take care of their families. They're trying to, feed their kids. They're trying to figure out what's going on. They don't need Don Lemon and Andrew Cuomo sitting there going over the details of what basically for him amounts to a really bad case of the flu. That's what it's becoming. The latest study showed that the death rate from coronavirus is 6 times greater than the flu. That's bad. That's really high, but it's still very low, because the death rate from the flu is so low that they don't even talk about it in the media. It's 0.1%. So it's 6 times greater than a really small number. So is that a big number? No, that's not a big number. A number that's 6 times greater than a really small number is just a bigger version of a small number. And do you follow what I'm saying? If you're talking about 10% death, like swine flu, I think it wasn't H1N1. Or was it H1N1? It was one of the flus they had in China. Scared the hell out of me. It had a 60% death rate. That means 10 people get it, 6 of them gonna die. Something like that comes out, I'm not leaving my house until the year 2023. I swear, I kid you not. 0.66%, when literally 0.66% factors in old people, like a lot of old people. Not that old people don't matter, they do matter, but old people are not as healthy as young people. I don't see that as a reason to shut down the whole economy. I just don't. If you take out all the 70 and 80-year-olds out of the death toll, that 0.66% drops to about the level of the flu. So I want you to process this for a minute, right? 0.66%, less than 1% chance of death once you catch the case and your case is documented and all that. That's already a low number. Most of the people in that number are people that are 70 and 80 years old that have 2 or 3 bad pre-existing conditions. You take those people out of the pile. So you're just a healthy person who goes to work every day. Your chances of dying drop to about, 1 in 1,000, maybe 1 in 500. I take those odds. If you tell me, hey boys, here's the deal. Look, we want you to stay home. And I say, why do you want me to stay home? Well, because if you leave the house, there's a 1 in 800 chance, 1 out of 800 chance that something bad's going to happen to you. And then I'm going to say, okay, I appreciate that. But if I stay home, there's a 100% chance I'm going to be broke as hell. If I stay home, there's a 100% chance I won't be able to feed my family. I'm not going to, take the 100% chance of being broke over the 1 in 800 chance that something bad is going to happen to me today. I'm a black man. Like I said, I think on any given day, a black man in the hood has about a 2% chance of ending up in some shit, maybe a 5% chance. Not even a 2%. I'll say 5%. Like on any given day, any young brother in any black neighborhood in America, I believe, has a 1 in 20 chance, like a 5% chance of some horrible shit happening that day. Either being stopped by the cops and arrested, shot by the cops, shot by another brother, whatever, end up in some bad situation. So I don't want to belabor this point too much. I'm just gonna say that, if you are a person that's driven solely by emotions and big picture manipulation by media, then you're going to probably think that what I'm saying sounds crazy. People that tend to get what I'm saying are people that maybe understand a little bit about math, right? Well, like what the actual numbers are, or they understand or they appreciate logic in the middle of chaos. And where I get in trouble is that I'm a very logical thinker. I'm one of those 2 + 2 = 4 type people. An emotional thinker is somebody who says 2 + 2 could be 98, right? And I'm not in that emotional thinker category. I'm more in the strategy logic category that says, yes, it's real, but panicking is going to create a bunch of artificial realities that you manifest because you freaked out so much. Like, so for example, could the coronavirus kill 1 million people? It could, but it's nowhere near close to that. It's not even in the US. It hasn't killed over 5,000, or maybe it just broke 5,000 or something like that. But did 10 million people lose their jobs in the last 2 weeks? Yeah, that's very real. That's very real. So again, I mean, those who don't agree, I mean, I guess you got to ask yourself, at what point do you think it's safe for us to go back to work again? Like, do we have to have 100 million people lose their jobs? Maybe we should just have an economy where nobody has a job. Like, everyone's broke, everyone's in poverty, everybody's living on the street, everybody's eating dirt off the ground. Is that what? Because we would be safe that way if we never ever leave our houses ever again. I mean, if you have a house, a lot of people are going to get evicted because of that. So thank you for hearing me out. I probably sound a little bit frustrated by this because I don't feel like I have all the information. And I'm not stupid enough to be manipulated by media. I don't watch Fox News because Fox News goes too far to the right. The Fox News types, they want to believe everything's a conspiracy. They believe everything's about getting Trump out of office. They believe everything's completely made up. Those are the people that'll get you in trouble because they'll write off every serious threat until it becomes a real threat. I don't think Trump is appropriate to lead in this situation. But the liberals bother me because the liberals want to act like every death is a reason to shut down the entire country. They'll tell you one little sweetheart feel-good story, like about the doctor who died in his husband's arms, so they're fulfilling all these different agendas by telling you the story. I don't want to hear the story. No disrespect, but I in this particular situation, when we're all thinking about our families, it doesn't help in terms of information gathering for people to hear one story about one guy. I could tell you one story about one guy who died yesterday because a piano fell on his head. Does that mean that you have a chance of a piano falling on your head? No. So what I think is that the media's got to stop telling stories and start telling facts. Stop telling stories and start giving facts. Stories are embellishments. Stories are meant to play the violin and manipulate your emotion, the strings of your emotions. Stories are meant to get clicks and to get views on their TV shows. Facts are what people need in a crisis. So, what I would love to see, if I could control it, I would like to see the media give us every day, tell us how many infections we have. More importantly, though, how many of those infections are leading to deaths? Because we know from the studies that 80% of the infections don't even come with severe symptoms. 80% of the infections are just a couple sniffles. I don't care about people who sniffled this week. That's not enough for me to lose, for everybody to lose their income. All you guys, I don't want you guys to go broke because some people were sneezing and coughing this week. So that 81% that have mild symptoms are not relevant, honestly. The people that are relevant are the people that have severe symptoms that have to go to the hospital. Out of that number, I'd like to know how many of those people are regular healthy people who would have been perfectly fine otherwise. What percentage of those people are over the age of 70 or 80, morbidly obese, dying from something else anyway, maybe had HIV, maybe had some other autoimmune issue. It doesn't mean that these people don't matter. They do matter. It doesn't mean these people shouldn't be protected. They should be protected. But you have to isolate the issue so you can decide how to properly quarantine. Right now, we're quarantining the entire country, which means that 80-90% of the people that they're quarantining don't need to be quarantined. 80-90% of the people that they're quarantining have as high of a likelihood of dying in a car crash that day as they have of dying, from a coronavirus infection. I say take those 80-90%, let those people go ahead and go to work, put in, social distancing rules, put in, okay, wear a mask, wash your hands, don't shake anybody's hands. In fact, if you do that, we're going to penalize you for doing that, right? But let those people feed their families, and then take that 10% of the population that's vulnerable, or, the senior citizens, those who are really, really sick, who have pre-existing conditions, and again, quarantine those people and quarantine anybody who lives with those people. Give them a big amount of money, because now, since we're focused on, we've isolated the issue, we have more resources we can dump on them. Instead of having a bunch of able-bodied people sitting at home waiting on a stimulus check, we're now taking that stimulus money and we're applying it directly to the individuals that need it the most. And then also we're really taking care of the healthcare workers who have to take care of those individuals. And then that way we're being more efficient as a society. Right now, we're just running off panic, and this is not going to end well. I promise you. This is not going to end well. It's going to go away. I bet you in a month, I bet you the CDC is going to come out and say, hey, y'all, we solved the problem, y'all. We fixed it, right? And everybody's going to say, whoo, oh my God, thank God we averted a tragedy. I'm going to be the guy who's going to sit back and say, but did we actually avert tragedy? Did we actually, what did you actually do for us? Well, first of all, the economy is going to be wrecked for the next decade, right? That's a given, but that's fine. It's, if you don't care about money, then fuck it. Let's not care about money. Number two, you really think the coronavirus went away just because CNN stopped talking about it? Like, you really think that, because it's not in the news anymore, that it died? Did coronavirus just go on vacation? Did it leave the planet? Did coronavirus just stop existing? Or do you think it's still out there and they're just not telling you about it? I mean, think about how many thousands of deaths occur every day that you never hear anything about. You know how many black people die in Chicago alone that don't even get any media coverage? There are places you can go to where you think you're perfectly safe, and I could be dropping you right in the middle of a war zone. And the reason that you would know it's a war zone is because it's like Ice Cube said at the end of Boys in the Hood. He said they either don't know, don't show, or don't care about what's going on in the hood. So there's thousands of people that die every single week that you never hear about because CNN won't talk about it. You know how many brothers and sisters are dying in prison every day, every week, being raped right now, in prison right now, that you'll never hear about because they haven't taken that story and highlighted it? But a white woman gets her booty touched, that becomes a national story. Suddenly everybody's afraid of predatory behavior because a white woman got her booty touched, when there's probably 100,000 black men and women in prison being raped on a daily basis, and they'll never talk about that. So never ever think that something doesn't exist anymore just because the media stopped talking about it. That's silly. The third point of skepticism I would have is, one, I would say, number one, it's not done. It's not really done. You're cheering. They're going to cheer. They're going to be like, oh, we did it, right? But I won't believe it's done because, one, the economy will have irreparable damage. A lot of people are going to die because of that. A lot of people are going to go through a lot of hell economically. Two, I won't believe that the coronavirus is gone just because you stopped talking about it. And three, I will have never believed that we were truly in danger in the first place. I don't believe right now that you're in that much more danger than you were 6 months ago. It doesn't. I believe in following the rules. I believe in doing what you're supposed to do. I'm not out here telling people to go rogue, but I'm not telling people to not care about, those who are being affected directly. But 90% of y'all that are walking around in fear ain't never gonna come nowhere near something that might kill you. Now don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. You might have a friend of a friend who says, "Oh my God, I caught the coronavirus," and that makes it real for people, right? Because then you're like, "Oh my God, it's real now. My cousin's best friend caught the coronavirus." But 99 times out of 100, your cousin's best friend is going to be just fine. See, what's happened is that this term, I tested positive for the coronavirus, has become a stigma. It's become like like almost like a blend between a stigma and a what's the word? A coming out party, maybe, right? A stigma or a status symbol. There you go. It's like a stigma status symbol. It's like, I caught the corona. Like seriously, like if I had it, let's say that I was a drama queen, like Andrew Cuomo or the people on CNN, and I was like, "Hey everybody, I just want y'all to know." Let's say I did a video and the title was, "I just found out I tested positive from the coronavirus," right? All y'all would be flooding into the video, and you'd be like, "Oh my God, Dr. Boyce, we're praying for you. We think you. I hope you're okay." And right, and it's okay. I appreciate that. I appreciate the love, right? And then let's say every day I come in, I'm like, I today I got up this morning and my head was hurting. It makes your head hurt a lot, and 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 then I was sneezing and I farted, and it was a loud one. I don't know how. I don't know. I'm sweating a little bit, right? And then 3-4 days later, I get better, like the vast majority of healthy people that get infected. And then it's like, it's a miracle. Oh my God, you made it. You survived the storm. Oh, you're such a hero. Again, based on the statistics, based on the numbers, I'm supposed to survive. I'm supposed to survive. Right? Like, it's not like you're not supposed to die when you get the coronavirus. Dude, can we at least agree on that part? Can we at least agree on that? I know I talked a little bit longer than I said I would, but I just had to get this out and have a conversation with intelligent people. I know ignorant people are not going to like this. Over emotional people are going to get a little mad at me. I promise you, I'm not trying to make you mad. I really do care about anybody that's been affected. I apologize if I offended you by being honest with you. But one of the things that I think that we at least have to understand, and you can't argue with me on this point. You cannot argue with me on, because this is just supported by facts. You can't choose your own facts. You can choose your own emotions, but you can't choose your own facts. If you are infected by this virus, you are not expected to die. If you are infected by this virus, you are not expected to go to the hospital. If you are infected by this virus, the data says that you'd have to be very, very unlucky to die. Because if 150 people are infected by this virus, one of them will die. So you have to imagine you're in a room, there's 150 people in the room, and they say one of y'all out of the 150 is gonna get $1 million. Do you walk in that room thinking, "Oh, I know I'm gonna get the million. I know I'm gonna get the million"? No, you can't. You can't do that because the odds are heavily against you. And then if they also say, "Yeah, oh, and by the way, there's an 80% chance that the person who gets the $1 million is gonna be over the age of 80 or over the age of 70. Now, I'm not saying that you might not luck out and get the million. I'm saying that you're probably not going to get the million. So my point is to say that the reason that you see me walk around without fear of the virus is because I know that I'm not supposed to die from it. If I got it, you know what I do? I would self-quarantine because I wouldn't want to infect anybody, especially a senior citizen. I wouldn't want to do that. I would take care of myself. I would let Alicia make me some chicken soup and because if we all in the same house and I got it, she probably would have it too. And I would let her do nurse me back to health, and I would probably be better in about 3 or 4 days. And I think that if we look at it in that way, just look at it for what it is. Looking at it for what it is doesn't mean you pretend like it doesn't exist. You have to acknowledge it, right? You have to be cautious. You have to be thoughtful. You have to be intelligent, right? But this whole panic thing, no, you know, here's the things that will make me panic. If there was an Ebola outbreak, I'd be panicking. I'd be like, shit, we need to do something, man, because this is going to be bad. If there was a nuclear blast, if North Korea, God forbid, launched a nuke across the sea and it landed in Chicago and there's a nuclear holocaust and internet's dead and there's dead bodies in the street everywhere, I'd probably panic about that. Short of that, there's not much. This kind of thing ain't gonna scare me. I'm a black man. Again, there's always been stuff out there that could kill me. So thank you for listening. Once again, those of you who are mad, every time I talk about this and I'm honest about it, I know I lose a few friends and and maybe that's the way it's supposed to be. I got to, you know, I might as well let you know who I am instead of pretending, so that you don't fall in love with a false image of who I actually am as a person. And those of you who heard me out, I appreciate you very much. And I just want to remind you guys 2 things that are happening today. Number one, Dr. Claude Anderson's coming on drboycetv.com. You may be watching the recording, so it may be late. You may be after that, but it doesn't matter. You can still go watch the recording. So he's going to come on today. I'm going to ask him about the unemployment situation. This drboycetv.com at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time today. Also, tonight we're doing Black Movie Night. We're actually showing a great film that we made with Boyce Watkins Films. It's called Raising a Black Scholar, directed by Tierra KJ Williams. It's all about the Black homeschool movement and how many millions of Black parents. Now, you talk about a real virus. A real virus is the virus of ignorance and white supremacy that is affecting so many millions of our children. That virus is real, and that virus is really taking real lives. Like, it's putting Black men in prison, it's destroying families, it's getting Black people killed in the street. So we're fighting that virus also. The virus of ignorance and white supremacy. So if you'd like to join us tonight for the Black Movie Night, it's totally free. You can register now. It starts at 8 o'clock on April 2nd. If you're watching, you might be watching live. You could be watching the recording. But it's April 2nd, 8 p.m. You can register at blackmovienight.net. That's blackmovienight.net. Last but not least, there is the other thing too, if you want to, some of you are asking me about stocks and stuff like that, and you guys know I have the Black Stock Market Program. So if you want to know which stocks I'm picking or how the stock market works, feel free to go to theblackstockmarketprogram.com, theblackstockmarketprogram.com. The first month costs $1. So if you want to sign up for $1 for the first month, feel free to go to theblackstockmarketprogram.com. So take care, guys. Have a good day, and I'll see you soon. Be good. Peace.